Marianne, in reading up on you and the press coverage, reminding myself of how they covered you when you were running for office for president, for the nomination, it reminded me of something that I saw about myself in the press in the New York Times. It was when I left Fox and I went to NBC, and I gave an interview to the media reporter there. And he was asking me why I made the decision. You know, I went from this powerful post and cable news to a morning show, which is softer. And I kept talking to him about how I had been very unhappy in my old post. And I was really on a search for more joy in my life. That people only knew this sort of tough news anchor version of me, but what they didn't know was behind the scenes I was miserable. I wasn't seeing my kids grow up, wasn't seeing my friends. I had no life. All I did was combat for a living, right, on the world stage. And I did it well, but it wasn't doing anything for me as a human. And I read the article, and I can't stand these guys at the Times. Honestly, there's some guys I like over there, but the Times is just so biased. So what was my message? I'm leaving Fox News. I mean, you think if there's anything the New York Times is going to celebrate about somebody like me is that I'm leaving Fox News. Nope. The whole thing was mocking me for pursuing, quote, joy. And it talked about the number of times I used that word, right? And I was like, fuck these guys. Sorry, I'm in Lent and I'm trying not to swear, but I'm really doing poorly at it. Anyway, that's how I felt when I read it, right? And when I read the press coverage of you, went back, read the Times, read the Post, and all of them, Washington Post, it was that times 100. I mean, it was that magnified out beyond.
Vicious, brutal.
Vicious. Mocking you for your decades as somebody who's been very helpful to people spiritually in a quest to make people's lives better. And you come into presidential politics with a different kind of message focused on love, right? Trying to change the way we deal with one another as parties, as a country, as citizens through this lens of love, as we discussed. And all they could do was make fun of it. It must have been infuriating, or I don't know, you tell me, how did it make you feel?
Well, it was brutal. It was brutalizing in all the ways that you just described your own experience reading that article. And mine was that several times a day, all day, every day. But let's talk about why they did it. They didn't really do it. This whole canard of me being such a silly person, they did it because they knew that I wasn't joking. They called me a joke because they knew that I wasn't joking. Let's look at what's happening here. This is a political establishment that, as we said before, has taken us to maybe 6 inches away from the cliff, both in terms of the vitality of our democracy, even the survival of our democracy, the survival of our ecosystem, the unbelievable rigging of our economy. And they have the audacity to say that the only people we should consider qualified to even be in the conversation are those whose careers have been embedded for decades in the car that drove us into this ditch. Mm-hmm. They're the only ones we should consider qualified to take us out of the ditch. So, yeah, there is an elite establishment in the media and in politics, and they look at anybody who doesn't toe the line with their perspective and with their agenda for the future. And they'll do whatever it takes to get you out of the conversation. And in my case, it was, that kind of smear, character assassination, mockery, minimizing. And also, it was quite disappointing how easily people bought it. I mean, It's true, they're good at what they do, the smear machine, but it was a little disappointing how easily, what an easy time they had. And I couldn't help but wonder if it might not have been so easy for them if I were a man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. There was sexism involved in the way they covered you. There's zero doubt of that. And you see it from organizations like the Times that, they want to consider themselves so woke and so on the side of progressives. That's the same paper that referred to Melania Trump as a mannequin. That tried to diminish you and tried to diminish me. If you don't hold their exact politics, right? And you're, forgive me, but just short form, I think a little closer to like a Bernie than maybe to a Biden. That's threatening in the same way. And they didn't like Tulsi. They didn't like you. They certainly don't like me. And yet, they hold themselves up as these fair, impartial, moral arbiters who are going to sort of keep the train running straight on the tracks. You tell me, what was it about you, do you think, that actually turned them off?
Well, first of all, the very fact that I was there, that I had the audacity, like, who let you in? And the answer is James Madison. Who let you in? This is the United States of America. Susan B. Anthony helped, certainly. Even Eisenhower said that politics should be the part-time profession of every American. This idea that the rest of us are supposed to stay in our lane, I would hear that, stay in your lane. What they have done is created the illusion that a political class should be running things. This country was founded on a repudiation of an aristocracy, whether that is an economic aristocracy, whether it is a political aristocracy. That's what this country is not supposed to be. And the fact that we are reenacting an aristocratic system is not good news. It was an inconvenience to them. And I think they figured when I was on the debate stage the first time, it's a joke, she can't do any harm. And look, I understand that in my nervousness, I said a couple things in ways, whether it has to do with girlfriend you're on, or I'll meet you in a field of love. I understand that in my nervousness, I gave them some ammunition. But I also understand that I said many things on those debate stages that I'm very proud to have said, that I think needed to be said. And I think some very serious people realize that. After the second debate, they knew, oh, wait, we got to get rid of her because she could be an inconvenience if she continues to talk about things like environmental injustice, reparations, things which I had brought up on the stage that are, in fact, challenging to the neoliberal economic order of both Democratic and Republican politics. So they came after me, but I'm here, aren't I? Mm-hmm. And
and you helped change
the side of the road, but I'm here.
You helped change the conversation, and I think that's also what Tulsi Gabbard did, and why she's received similar treatment. You're not allowed to challenge their orthodoxy, and even Trump, he was experiencing the same thing over on the Republican side back in 2016, because he did not sound like the other guys up there. In a way, you guys are similar. Forgive me, I know you're not his fan, but I'm just saying, in a way, you're similar.
I understand the way in which you mean that. I want to tell you something that Tulsi Gabbard said to me the last time I saw her. She was still in office. Her term was not over yet. And she said something interesting to me. She said, it's not that you and I, meaning Tulsi and Marianne, she said, it's not that you and I saw something the others don't see. It's that we looked at the system and said, I see you.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.